I think number one is whatever that we do, we see an immediate impact in background screening. We are helping organizations hire better professionals for their company, and these professionals might end up doing great things for their organization. So the impact is real for these companies. And I think the most fascinating part in this industry is finding information.
Welcome to Behind the Screens, conversations with background screening pros. I'm Les Rosen, your host, and I'm excited to have you here. On this podcast, we chat with the people who know the background screening world inside and out. Executives, industry experts, legal pros, and more. We dive into their personal stories and insights to give you a real look at what's happening behind the scenes. Whether you work in the screening industry or are just curious, Behind the Screens bring you the real, unfiltered conversations from the people who make it all happen. Stick around for stories you won't hear anywhere else. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Behind the Screens, an opportunity to talk with very interesting people in the background screening industry, the people who really make it go, the people that are in the know, people that you should know, and people who can teach us things through their life experiences and their story. And today is a real honor and pleasure to have with me a gentleman who has had a very illustrious career in background screening that goes back a ways. He's not only a leading provider in India, but he has been a leader for many, many years in PBSA. It's my pleasure to welcome to the program today Mr. Sachin Aggarwal. Sachin, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Les. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast series.
No, it's my pleasure. And as will be revealed as we talk, I've actually known you for a long, long time. So it's really happy to have you here today. So let's get started with a general question. Tell us what you are currently doing, your current position, what you do, and what you most like about it.
Les, I am director at AMS. AMS is an India-based background screening company, provides services across the globe, close to 160 plus countries. My role is a blend of strategy, doing some innovation work here, and looking at operations, and ensuring we stay ahead in the industry, which is constantly evolving with regulations, technology, and ever-increasing client expectations, I think.
Well, that's fantastic. And I think, and let me ask you this, that AMS, it was one of the first, or maybe the first, screening firm in India. Is that correct?
Yes. My parents set up this company, or my father started this back in 1986. And the first client that we had in background screening was surprisingly Equifax. Equifax at that point of time used to have an insurance company. And they came to us and asked us, would you like to start background checks for us? And that is how we started it.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So what was your career path to get to where you are now? What was your journey?
Journey has been quite interesting. I'm an engineering graduate, and I did my MBA in upstate New York at a university called Clarkson. So right after my engineering, I joined a cosmetic company by the name of Revlon, where I joined as a management trainee, and I did product costing for them. That was my first job, which had the maximum learning curve in my life. I did not only costing, I did QA, quality check, dispatches, and even set up their factory network and printers. I was one of the youngest employee at Revlon.
Was that in the U.S. or was that in India?
Back in India.
Okay.
So I was doing costing for lipsticks, nail polish, shampoos, conditioner, and hair dyes. And after that, I came to US, did my MBA, and then I started working for limited brands in Columbus, Ohio, where I was working specifically on Victoria's Secret's brand. And after that,
Wait, say again. You worked where in what account in Columbus, Ohio?
Limited brands, and one of their brand is Victoria's Secrets.
The Victoria's Secrets. Okay.
So that's where I was working. And after that, I was working with IPG, Interpublic Group, a large advertising company in New York City. And then finally, I moved to IBM. That was my dream company to work for. And I did technology consulting for them. And then back in 2009, when the stock market crash happened, that is when I moved back to India. and that's when I joined AMS and started working at AMS. I learned the business for about 6 months before moving into a more leadership role at AMS. And over the years, I have expanded our global footprints across the globe, did a lot of technology work, and it has been a rewarding journey for me so far. And I take pride in how much we have achieved so far.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you had a lot of involvement in the U.S. and did a lot of work here. And then it was 2009, you went to India full-time for AMS, correct?
That is correct.
Oh, that's great. And what would that, and I remember meeting you in, if I have this right, I think 2006 in Mumbai, right?
That's
Yeah, and for those of you that might recall this ancient history, Steve, our good friend Steve Brownstein, held the first international screening conference. I was tagged to be the, even though I didn't know that much about international, I was the speaker, the first speaker, and I met you. I think I met your dad there. And AMS was part of it, so I had a chance to meet you, and a number of people had a great time in Bangalore. So it's fantastic. And now we've come all this way. It's amazing. So, with your experience with in the U.S. and your experience in India and your experience in growing AMS into a large and globally recognized brand, a very successful company, what was an early lesson you learned early in your career that has stuck with you today? That that you're always reminded about, that you try to pay attention to?
I think I'll divide my early lesson into three parts. One is when I first started my job. My first manager at Revlon taught me one thing. He always said something, that once the arrow leaves the bow, it never comes back. So he always told me that always recheck your work before you send it out to anyone. When I joined AMS, my father told me, always maintain your credibility. If you can't maintain your own credibility in this business, you have no right to comment upon anybody else's credibility. Okay. And I got married in 2010, and my wife Parul, when she came to know about the business as what we are in, she's a big dreamer. So she always told me that, Sachin, First Advantage or any other larger background screening companies started from somewhere where you are. So there is no reason why you can't become as big as what other background screening companies across the globe are. So I think these are three early lessons. Well, I would say lessons in different phases of life that I have got. That is what have sticking with me even till today.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing, and good information for all of us to learn. So you've been in the screening industry since 2009, and you've stayed in it. What do you enjoy most about working in the background screening industry? What keeps you going, and what keeps you interested and motivated?
I think number one is whatever that we do, we see an immediate impact in background screening. We are helping organizations hire better professionals for their company, and these professionals might end up doing great things for their organization. So the impact is real for these companies. And I think the most fascinating part in this industry is finding information. Today, I can find a lot of information about anything and everything in Chile, Argentina, or any part of any world, whether it's South America or Australia or anywhere else, by sitting in India. And with just click of keys, technology has made these things possible. And I think that is incredible. And also learning cultures of different countries across. After having our local teams in 21 countries, I know so much about what's happening in South Korea, Philippines, Europe, Middle East, Africa, because teams are updating us. We have to be always on our toes that what's happening, how to forecast delays in supply chain. So that is what I love doing in this industry today.
Oh, that's fantastic. So in the course of doing this, and it's been a while, tell us, and we don't spend a lot of time on this, but what are not only in terms of India, but in terms of international background screening and all the things that you do, what have been some of the biggest changes you've seen in your career in the screening industry, and what would you say would be one or the biggest challenge or biggest challenges that you see for the future going forward?
I think the biggest changes I've seen over a period of time, I think there are two basic changes. One is, of course, technology. There's a lot of AI noise right now, so I think technology is definitely driving a lot of work and changes in the world. And of course, I think with technology, the regulatory changes in this landscape and the data privacy laws, which are reshaping how data can move around across the globe. So these are two big changes I have seen for sure. And I think in terms of challenges, number one, balancing speed versus accuracy, because everybody wants things very quickly, but not necessarily things might not be accurate. So that is one. And second, I think educating clients. A lot of times clients are getting little more, as newer generation of clients are coming, technology companies are coming, it is becoming difficult for them to understand how the data privacy laws would work in different locations, and educating them the value of background screening and how the compliances will work for them. Those are two biggest challenges.
Two biggest challenges. Oh, interesting. So, in your role in the in AMS and your other roles, and we'll get to your role in PBS shortly too, because very very impressive. What stands out in looking back at your career as an accomplishment or achievement that brings a smile to your face, or that you're most proud about?
There are actually a couple of them. I think number one has been the way we have established our supply chain in last 15 years across the globe, our own teams, in-country teams in 21 countries. I'm extremely proud of how we have done that. It has taken a lot of time. I think second was navigating through COVID. We actually planned how our transition would work and doing completely work from home during that time. And we actually grew our business during that period, surprisingly. So that was another accomplishment, I think. And finally, I think achieving our PBSA general accreditation was another great feather in our cap for our organization, because that shows the work that we are doing and how we have built this organization today.
Okay. Well, speaking of PBSA, people may or may not, who follow PBSA may or may not know, but you are a member of the PBSA Board of Directors,
Yep.
and you are also the chair of the APAC PBSA. So tell us about that. Tell us about your experience, first of all, starting with being chair of APAC, and we'll start with the basics. Tell us what APAC is and your experience with this. Well, then we'll talk about your experience in being involved with on the board of I'm sorry, I used the old name, PBSA.
So I was chair, I think, 4 years back for the APAC, and it was my first role in a leadership at PBSA. And we ended up doing 2 conferences as well in Philippines and in Singapore. And it was a great learning experience, starting as a secretary, then going to treasurer, and then moving up to the chair. Getting to know how a leadership role would play, how to manage things around you in terms of running conferences, and also setting expectations, and also learning how rewarding it is to be actively doing volunteer work and then getting recognized for your work and then moving up the ladder. And then finally, when the opportunity came where I could contribute more outside Cape APAC, then that is when I had the opportunity to join the board. And this is my second term at the PBSA board. And again, the PBSA community has been very welcoming to me right from 2010 when I joined full time. I used to be very introvert when I joined at that time. I was shy in nature. I think I'm still working on it, but everybody has welcomed with open arms whenever I had presented at any of the sessions at PBSA. Everybody have encouraged me very well that, listen, it's all right when you're in front of a larger audience, you can still present. And so I think it has totally transformed the way I look at myself, and it has really shaped my career very well.
Oh, that's great. So let's go back to your APAC. So you put together 2 conferences. You said the Philippines and Singapore. So that must have been interesting, meeting people that were in the same line of work from Singapore and Australia and the Philippines, from all over the Asia Pacific region. I mean, did you make new contacts and new friends, people you hadn't talked to before?
Oh yes, so in Philippines and in Singapore, I was lucky to have APAC members who were already in Philippines and Singapore, and they helped us set up the conference, set up the venue, and everything else. And the team was very well coordinated at that time, and they ended up setting up more conferences as everybody else grew in the same chapter and became a chair after me. And I think the reviews that we got for the conferences were great at that point of time. The group is very tight knit group at APAC, so everybody knows everyone here in the APAC. And but we are still trying to make APAC much larger over a period of time. It is not as large as what US conferences are, but now it is getting there.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you say it's a tight-knit group. I always point out to people that it's only tight-knit unless you decide to join. Anyone can get in that group. You just have to be willing to call up and get on a committee, and boom, you're part of the tight-knit group. You just have to want to.
Yeah,
and be willing to do a little bit of work.
Absolutely. Everybody is welcome, and that is what I learned at PBSA, that they are looking for volunteers, and as soon as they get a volunteer, they are more than happy to grab them.
Yeah. And as I point out, you don't have to be a company president or an owner or a vice president. You could be a third-year referencer. And if you want to join a committee and get involved, be part of the group and get to know people, you're more than welcome, right? I mean, anyone, doesn't matter where you are in the industry. So you've done 2 terms now. I mean, no good deed goes unpunished. So you're on your second term on the board.
That is correct.
And those are they still 3-year terms, if I recall?
I think so, yes. So
okay, boy. So no good deed goes unpunished. So I mean, how many hours a week or a month does that take you to participate in board? And also, what time do you wake up in order to do this? Because you're in Delhi and the board, and there's an international board. How do you guys even work out a time where you're all awake?
I think board has been very kind with us in terms of scheduling it. It's a challenge for them because now the board is very diverse and people coming from different countries. So our timings are, we spend we have a meeting once a month. For me, it is about at 8:30 p.m. On Wednesdays. So it works out well because by the time my dinner is done, I come back home and I get on a call for about 2 hours, and then I'm done for the month. Then whatever different other work that needs to be done. Sometimes they try to do a revolving time, which they tried last year, where the time was middle of the night, like 2:30 or 3 a.m. in the morning. That did not work well with a lot of other people because there were board of directors who were even from Australia, and their time is painful. I think me being in India, timing is much easier for us compared to anybody who is in the Pacific side.
Yeah, and I can imagine because now you have board members not only from India and Australia, but the UK and Canada and all over the US, and you look at a clock of the world and you're trying to figure out, okay, what time? Be a logistical challenge, right? What time would be the least inconvenience for the most people? So, all right. And then you have the meetings, which are probably 2 or 3 hours, and right? Because there's usually a lot to go over. So, what on the board do you have? Is there an area of interest for you, a special interest on the board of PBSA?
So I'm right now also part of BSEC Council. So I'm a board liaison there, and I really like how the accreditation for organized different background screening companies in US itself and outside US, the program is going, and that is where I have special interest in terms of looking at how companies are evolving, how they are getting compliant in terms of the services that they provide. So that is where I have a lot of interest in, and I spend a lot of time on the BSEC itself looking at how the accreditation is going on with them.
So board members then have liaisons roles with different committees, and yours is with I think accreditation.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So you get to have some familiarity with accreditation, North America, APAC, in Europe, everywhere.
That is right. So
have some idea what they're doing.
I get that experience today, and I'm very thankful for the board for putting me on the BSEC for that experience. So, and in whichever way that I can contribute towards PBSA, I always look forward to that.
Oh, that's great. And I know you come to the U.S. for the PBSA conference at least twice a year for the annual conference and the mid-year. This year, I think this was the year that Heathrow had a shutdown, and that was quite an adventure for you, right? Well, tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I took my first flight back in 2003, an international flight, and it's been 22 years since flying, and never happened that a flight came back midway. So it was interesting. I mean, we were sitting on the plane, and suddenly pilot announces after 3 hours of flight that hey, there is something happening at Heathrow. We are not sure what's going on, but we have been told to turn back. And right before crossing Caspian Sea, the plane took a U-turn, and after 3 hours, we were back home in Delhi.
Oh gosh, so you're on your way to mid-year in Washington and in March, and the plane wouldn't take you there. All right.
What?
All right. Now that's too bad, because every time I go, I don't go to as many conferences anymore. But every time I'm there, I always see AMS there, and I see you there, and we say hello. And so you're not only a big supporter in terms of being on the board, but also as a person in the exhibitor room as well. So you support it that way as well. That's great. So I think we covered it, but what's your overview or your big takeaway on how PBSA has influenced your career in background screening and professionally?
I think professionally, definitely in terms of I've made great friends at the PBSA, professionally as well, and also personally at personal level. If I have not joined PBSA, I don't think I would have gained the success what I have so far in my professional career as well. It has, as I mentioned earlier, it has truly been welcoming, and I always advise everybody else as well, whosoever is starting out in this industry of PBSA, please attend the conferences, be there, meet people, wonderful things will happen to you. I signed my first customer myself in 2010 over a breakfast. I was having breakfast by myself. One gentleman walks up to me, introduces himself. We spoke for about 20 minutes while having early morning breakfast. And he told me what he's looking for. I told him where I'm from and what services we provide. And it's been 15 years that he's working with us, and we are providing our services to him so far.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations. So let's move beyond PBSA and screening. We've been talking about PBSA and your role with AMS in India and your career, and let's get beyond all that. And Sachin, tell us what you do, your hobbies and your interests outside of work. What you do for fun. Talk about that a little bit.
Plus, I have obsession for mangoes. My grandfather set up a very large mango farm when he started out, so it's a privilege to see that heirloom in our family, where we still have that large mango orchard with us. And I have been lucky enough to choose the tree, choose the branch, and choose the best mango that I want to eat.
All right, so you're a screener and a farmer. All right. You're a mango farmer.
So there has been days when I was young, in the age of 20s, that we would eat mangoes for breakfast, mangoes for lunch, and mangoes for dinner.
All right. And a mango martini. I don't know, but I suppose it's possible. All right.
And other than that, me and my wife Parul, we have twin daughters who are 10 years old, and I love spending a lot of time with them. They love to play soccer. I love taking them to different soccer games. And on personal note, I love running. 10 years back, I did about 5 half marathons and a couple of 10Ks. Now I don't get so much time to do all these things, but these are what keeps me busy most of the time.
Oh, so that's fantastic. So you're a half marathon runner.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I run to dinner, but that's about the only running I do. And that's fantastic. And if I can ask, so what are the age of your twins? How old are they?
10 years old each.
10 years old. So you are kept on your toes. You're just running after them, and right. So you're a soccer dad.
I'm a soccer dad, yes.
So it's tournaments and practices and taking road trips to have games away, all that kind of stuff, right?
That is correct. So my weekends are completely blocked only for them.
Good for you. Well, that will get your mind off of screening. So tell us. You may already have, but tell us a fun fact. Share something about yourself. You already talked about mangoes. I did not know you were into mangoes, but something unrelated to background screening that people may not know about you or suspect.
I'm an adventure sport buff. I have done skydiving, bungee jumping, cliff jumping. So I love to trek. One of my dream is to trek till the base camp of Mount Everest. I don't think I'm fit enough to climb Mount Everest, but if I train myself, I think I can go till the base camp of Mount Everest.
Oh, so let me take that one at a time because that's pretty amazing. So you said you like to bungee jump and
Yes.
and rappel or mountain and trek.
Yeah, skydiving, bungee jumping, and cliff jumping.
Skydiving
Yes.
and in tandem, or do you do it yourself, or how's that work?
Tandem. I don't think I'm brave enough to jump myself.
So you're a tandem skydiver.
Yeah.
You do a bungee jumping. So you're standing. Let me get this right. You're standing on a perfectly good bridge, and you decide to jump off it rather than just walk across it, and attach to like a giant rubber band.
Yes.
And no one is making you do that. Matter of fact, you pay people for the privilege of doing that.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't get it, but apparently a lot of people do. So, all right. Not something I would do. All right. And then the trekking. So where do you go? I mean, obviously you're within striking distance of a lot of mountains or so. What kind of trekking have you done? What kind of outdoors?
I've few treks in US, then some of the national parks. I've climbed a couple of summits. I've done 3 or 4 summits in India, but this all was done about, I would say, up till 5 years back, and I just don't get time to do any more treks as what I want to do, just because of the work and family and everything else. But I definitely want to do this Mount Everest base camp thing. I mean,
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, and have a Sherpa, help you up. So what's the height? I mean, this is really impressive. How high the summits that you've gotten to? How high are they?
I think the tallest one I've done is about 7,000 feet from the, I think, what do you call the
7,000 meters or feet?
feet.
Wow,
7,000 meters.
okay.
7,000 meters. Yes.
10,000 meters.
Yeah.
That's what is that in feet? I'm not I'm not a metric person. So that's way too complicated for me. But all right, but that's high. All right.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. I can't really quick do it in the feet. The highest I've ever gone was the highest peak in the U.S. is Mount Whitney and that's only 12,500, and it's in feet. I've done that, and that's the highest I've done. And I was a little younger then, but all right. But it's quite an adventure. When you bag a summit, And when I was younger, I used to be a peak bagger, but in the Sierra Nevadas. But it seems like a long time ago now. But right. But it's exhilarating, isn't it? When you top out and you're there.
Yep.
And then you realize, oh my God, wait a second. Now, where's the helicopter surge? Now I have to go down.
Yes, absolutely. You have to climb up, then you have to think about, okay, now I have to go down.
Yeah, really. And down is more dangerous because then one wrong step and you can do something to your ankle or your leg or something. I mean, up is a little is harder for your cardiovascular, but down is really takes a lot of balance and but anyway, well, good for you. Well, let us know when you get to Mount Everest, take a picture, send it to us. Put it on LinkedIn. Let us know.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, Sachin, it's been a real pleasure talking with you. With all the experience you had, let me ask you finally, if a person was coming into the industry, they were thinking, well, should I be a member of the background industry? It doesn't matter what country, just being in the industry, or maybe they've been in for a couple of years, or what advice would you give somebody as far as a career in the background screening industry and how to make the most of it and how to maximize your time and to maximize your own potential in the screening industry?
I think there are 4 things that I will tell anyone to do. In terms of the content of background screening, anybody can learn. I don't think it is very difficult to learn as how to do this business. One, of course, credibility is everything, as what I said earlier. You have to maintain your credibility and work with honesty. That is number one.
Okay, so number one is credibility. Okay.
Yeah. Then you have to be patient, because this industry is built on accuracy and trust, and it takes time to do everything. It is not overnight work. One should be always be ready to learn something new, stay curious about it. And finally, build relationships, because these relationships matters. I see a lot of young people when they're walking around in the conferences, they're always on their phone. They're not interacting with people on different exhibition booths, or even saying hello to even somebody standing next to them. I think that is what wrong they are doing. They should build strong network. Those relationships can take you toward next level.
I think, and it's all good advice. I really like the last bit of advice. It's about relationships. I go to conferences, and I'll talk to anybody, but not that many people will come up and talk to me. They may not know who I am, or just whatever. But just I'm really impressed when someone just goes up to anybody and says, "Hi, I'm so and so, and who are you, and how are you doing, and what do you do, and what do you think?" And there's just nothing. There's no substitute for that. No matter just who it is, whether they're a vendor, or an owner, or a speaker, or a lawyer, or whatever they are. You just the more you talk to, the more you learn. So that's great advice. Go off your phone. Go to conferences. Number one, go to conferences, and then when you're there, and I tell people, even if your company won't pay for it, if you really want to get ahead in this industry and meet people and make your mark and do exceptionally well, do it on your own dime. Take the time off and just pay for it yourself, and consider it part of your the tuition to the University of Hard Knocks. Just go for it. But anyway, that's just me. Well, Sachin, it's been great to get to know you and reconnect. I mean, some great stories. Before we sign off, let me just give you the last word for any closing thoughts. So the floor is yours.
Plus, I'm a very big cheerleader for India. I think that India is going to be the next country from where you will see few large background screening company coming out of. There are already a couple of them who are already doing $30 or $60 million business. I think one should look out for India in specific in terms of what is happening here. Every large company today has an office here. Maximum hiring is happening here. So one should definitely see India as an opportunity. Background screening is not the flashiest business compared to other type of business what exists, but definitely plays a critical role in what we are doing. And on a lighter note, you need mango recommendations, let me know. I'll tell you where to get the best mangoes from.
Say that again, I couldn't quite hear you.
I said, on a lighter note, if you need mango recommendations, let me know. I'll get you the
Thank you very much. Okay. I'm growing hard of hearing in my old age, but I appreciate that. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. If you want a mango recommendation, right, or any advice on a number of subjects, you've heard directly from our guest today. Sachin, it's been a real pleasure to have you here, and pleasure to hear more about AMS, and a pleasure to hear about your experiences. And here's hoping you take a mango to the top of Mount Everest.
Thank you so much, and I deeply appreciate the chance to speak to you today. Thank you for Thank you so much.
Okay, fantastic talking to you. And ladies and gentlemen, today's guest has been Sachin Aggarwal, the head of AMS in India, a member of the serving his second term, I take it, as a member of the PBS Board of Directors, having been the head of APAC in the PBS APAC committee, and a real veteran of the industry. And again, it was so good to meet you back in 2006 at the Steve Brownstein conference and have a chance to talk to you again. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
And with that, thank you again, and stay tuned. There will be another episode of Behind the Screens next week, and all the episodes will be announced. And thanks again, Sachin.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was yet another wonderful conversation with a background screening pro. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an update. And hey, if you got a moment, we'd love for you to leave us a review. It really helps get the word out. For more info, or to catch up on past episodes, or to make suggestions, or to suggest possible future guests, head over to our website. Once again, this is your host, Les Rosen, and it's been a pleasure to bring you another episode See you on the next episode. Thanks.